Welcome to the Ultimate Landscape CEO. Today we have a vendor guest, Dan Simpson, Manager Product Marketing from Fleetio. This is a common topic in our peer groups, the issue of equipment and fleet. It's not the top 5 products, but certainly it's one of the biggest risks and biggest investments that you have running a landscape company. And fleet maintenance is one of the most volatile costs within your budget. And so it certainly comes up in our peer groups. I'm recording this in December, and we're going to publish this in January. If you've ever thought about joining one of our peer groups, now's the time to do it while we're kicking off some meetings this winter. So this podcast with Dan is about fleet management software. Now, this is not a commercial per se, although, yes, we do cover quite a bit about Fleetio. Dan's an expert. He's from Australia, from the construction industry, and he gives us an overview of Fleetio and the challenges in fleet management. Yes, you learn some of the features and benefits of Fleetio, and then industry insights that he has that if you're new to fleet management software and are thinking about it, this will be a great podcast for you if you want to learn more about Fleetio. In the end, we talk a bit about the future of Fleetio. Let's jump right in. Daniel, excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeffrey. It's great to be here.
Tell us about your company and about yourself.
Yeah, so Fleetio is a fleet management software company. We are based in Birmingham, Alabama. We were founded in 2012, and what we do is we help companies track, analyze, and improve their fleet operations. And this, as I know, having me on the show today is just critical, especially for landscaping fleets. They have so many assets that they're looking to keep track of, and it can be a real cost center for those businesses. And so we work with fleets all across the US and actually around the world. We've got about 7,500 companies that we're working with, helping them optimize their fleet operations.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's I've been with Fleetio 4 years. I think one of the things that I've loved working in fleet, and particularly like construction and landscaping companies, is that everyone we work with, they're straight shooters, and our product is all about that bottom line. You can't hide from it. You can't fake it. It is around cost, increasing margins, and reducing risk. And so that's something I love, because being a product person, those conversations are just very straightforward. You kind of dig into problems, which really helps me and the teams that I work with build solutions that fit the companies we're working for. And I know there was a second part to your question. I kind of jumped straight in, but as you can probably hear from my accent, originally from Sydney, Australia. I've been away from Australia for 10 years, was lucky enough to live in the UK and Canada, and I've been based in California in the US for 5 years now.
Well, you've lived in like every English-speaking country there is, except for Ireland. And
yeah, I cashed in all those 2-year visas that I could to kind of travel and get to see a bit of the world. So I've loved it, learned a ton, and I actually met my wife at the start of that journey. She's originally from Southern California, so I've ended up settling in the US, and have a 3-year-old son and just a great life here. I'm loving it.
I'm sure coming from Australia, there's no way you could settle in like England or Canada. SoCal has got to be the place.
That's right. I need that sunshine. So I did spend some time in Vancouver up in British Columbia. And this time of year is a rough time of year, but it's definitely nicer down here, just having those blue skies out the window.
Vancouver is beautiful. Well, I got to tell you, how did you get to fleet management and Fleetio? Did you study fleet management in school? I mean, I'm joking, but what was your background?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a journeyman background. So actually straight out of high school, I was concreting. And so I worked in construction for 7 years. And while I was doing that full time, I decided to go to college. I started later than most people, went back to college, And it was really just fortuitous. I knew I wanted to work in product, building products, and I wanted to be in and around construction, landscaping, concreting, because that was my background and something I was really comfortable with. So I thought that would be a good fit for me. Building products related to those fields, I kind of understood a lot of the problems that people were facing there, and so I found Fleetio, and yeah, it's been a great journey so far. I think one of the things that I've loved is I'm not in an office all the time. I get to go on site, see the challenges that people are facing every day, kind of speak to people, just see them working, see their processes, and then get to connect with a lot of people, which is something that I just really enjoy.
So you found Fleetio after you moved to SoCal, or where?
Yeah, I found Fleetio pretty much as soon as I moved down, came down to the US from Canada, was fortunate to get a job in a fairly short period of time, and it's been a great 4.5 years since.
So what's your exact role in Fleetio? Maybe you said, but I didn't catch it.
Yeah, so I'm in product marketing, so I work in a product pod. And what that means is I'm working with engineers, product managers, and designers. And my role is going out, speaking to customers, really understanding what are the problems that they're facing, and then bringing that back to our product teams and helping them understand who are the people who are using the products, like what do these problems look like. For a lot of people, as you can imagine, in software, being on site, they don't know what it is. And an example, a landscaping company that I visited early on, one of the things that I wanted to see is around vehicle inspections. What does that look like in a morning for them?
Yeah.
And what it looked like was they've got drivers. It's 5 a.m. It's dark. They've got a manager who's trying to get them into vehicles and out of the yard as quickly as possible, and then they've got to go through and do this vehicle inspection, which is really important for DOT compliance and just keep making sure that vehicle's safe and able to run. But understanding that this is something they're looking to do really quick. It's also something that's not, they wouldn't consider it part of their job. And so this needs to be something that's just as easy as possible. They've got all these kind of pressures. So we need to make sure that we're thinking about that when we're building a product. They're not caring so much. The end user of that product isn't caring about our company and how great we make an inspection. They just want to hop in there. They want to be able to do an inspection, hop in their vehicle, go get the work done, and ultimately get home safe.
Yeah. It sounds like you have the most important job in the company because you've got to make it. Uh, well, you're the one that makes sure that your product solves the real life problems.
Yeah, it is. I think that's something that I've really loved about product marketing. I didn't know it existed like 8 years ago, and finding it, it's been something that I've enjoyed because, yeah, it is. It's just about connecting with people, understanding what is the cause of pain in their life, and then working out, okay, how can we get to a solution, and then checking with them and making sure, is this something that things can look good on paper, but is this making a difference in your business? So yeah, it is. It's really a linchpin role, making sure that we're kind of connecting the people who are a lot smarter than me, those engineers, making sure that they know the nail to hit.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're in sales, but even if you're not selling, but you probably, like if I'm a salesperson in your company, I'd want to come talk to you because you know what the problems are and how it translates to the product.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think sales is a good comparison because it's, um, and I know a lot of your listeners are in sales, understanding what is that underlying problem and putting yourself in that shoes. And it's only when you understand that you can actually present a solution that's going to resonate with them.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. The reason asked you to be on the show is, and you can quote me on this, Dan, I find that your area you're in, equipment, maintenance, and management, is the third biggest volatility element in our business, and the second biggest budget line items from a volatility perspective in our business. I mean, externally, we have weather. Okay. Can't quite control that. Internally, we have labor. Huge. But the next line item that I see that is a combination of big and volatile is equipment repairs. They just, it can totally throw out your budget. You know, besides labor, it can be like the biggest thing that whacks out your budget in any given year if you're not on top of it. And so that's, you know, you can quote me on it. That's how important. I think that's how much money products like yours can save. Is that how you see it? What's your take?
Yeah, I think especially in landscaping, you're exactly right because and what I often say to people is you're in the landscaping business, but you're also in the fleet business because a lot of your investment
Yeah.
is locked up in
Yeah.
vehicles. You've got a trailer, you may be pulling a skid steer or a mower, you've got handheld equipment. There are just so many, there's so much investment wrapped up just in one crew going
Yeah.
out. And as you said, it can be really volatile if you can't plan and you don't have surety of what your expenses are going to be or knowing that your vehicles are going to be ready to go on any given day. It's not even those repair costs that you mentioned. It's also just the opportunity cost of being able to, like, it's the wages that can be lost if you have a vehicle that doesn't go out or a piece of equipment that's not being done.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's just that downtime and
It's
jobs.
huge.
Yeah, we just speak to customers and that's one of the big things they flag. It's I want to know that I can get my crew to site every day. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the things we can't afford to lose that day's business.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And it's, you know, and as I'm hearing you talk, it even makes me think even more about the point I was making. It's absolutely critical. I mean, I have clients who are like, yeah, we were so close to budget, especially the smaller clients. We blew an engine or two engines or a transmission and an engine and, you know, and it just ate up all this money. You're a small company. That's a lot.
Yeah. But I think especially for those small companies, those people are juggling so much. And so
Yeah.
it does make sense unless you have that opportunity where you're hearing a conversation or speaking to someone else and they're telling you you need to focus on this. You are in the fleet business. You're not just in landscaping. You've got
Yeah.
all this risk and
Okay.
you
Let me speak to that real
yeah.
quick. I don't think people realize enough that being in the fleet business literally is a whole different business, especially if you're uh, doing the mechanicking and wrenching in house. You literally are in a different business. You might, let's say you're in install, you're in maintenance, you're in snow, three divisions. You actually have four divisions, and which is that
Mhm.
whole mechanic business. And I think if companies and owners would think about it like that, they would take it more seriously and do a better job of it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it for a lot of landscaping fleets, it is understanding. Okay, we need to get to total cost of ownership and see what's a fleet costing us because that's one of the big things that people don't have visibility into as well. What what are the underlying costs of specific vehicles, specific assets? When you don't have visibility into that, it's even those the bigger decisions that you make as far as what vehicle should I purchase or how many vehicles should I keep on hand, there's one side of it there, but it's also just understanding uptime, knowing in any given year how ready is a vehicle going to be, how often can it be on the road, and what are the risks with downtime, like what are the costs with a vehicle that's not able to be used.
So for the listener who either hasn't doesn't have a software like yours or they've never looked specifically into yours, give us a quick couple minute overview on what it does.
And when you say what it does, oh, our software, I'm with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing for someone who's coming, they may be managing it. They may not be aware of it, or they could be managing their fleet on paper or spreadsheet. I see a lot of people come to us using a spreadsheet, and they can be fantastic because what that tells me is that you're aware of fleet costs. And so you're starting to track it. And that
Yeah.
tracking, that's the first piece. It's just understanding what is this actually costing me. And when you get a sense of that, what we typically see is people start paying attention because they realize I have a whole lot of costs. And as you've mentioned, variables that are just tied up in that. So one of the first things that Fleetio does for businesses is we just allow them to pull all those costs related to their fleet into one place so that you can see it. So it's not only maintenance, it's lease payments, it's repairs, fuel is a huge one as well. And so you get this holistic view of what it's costing you to keep assets in the game.
Yeah.
And so that's the first step, is just helping people get that view of what the fleet is costing them year in, year out. And once you have that understanding, then you can start to use that data to make better decisions about your fleet. It may be downsizing because you realize, oh, F-150s, our whole fleet's using F-150s right now, but we could actually use Mavericks and reduce maintenance costs. We could reduce fuel costs. These vehicles would be perfectly suited. And because you're aware of the cost, you're able to make that decision and kind of look at different assets and make strategic decisions about what you're going to buy, what you're going to have in service, and importantly, when you should make those decisions as well. Because
Okay.
when you're tracking fleet costs, you can see over time just the increase in maintenance costs as a vehicle starts to age. And that helps you with those bigger decisions of when is it time to retire a vehicle and get a new one.
And so, but I want an even more broader overview of what Fleetio does. Give us the top features of, if I say, hey, I'm going to do that, I'm going to start using it. Give me the top features and benefits.
Yeah, I think the one of the first ones is PM schedules. So adding maintenance schedules to your vehicles so that you know when they need to be put in for a service and have that PM completed. That's one of the big things we are able
What do
to.
you mean by PM?
Preventative maintenance.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So it could be those things as simple as oil changes, but we can use the telematics data from your vehicle. So pull in that odometer so that even though vehicles may be out in the field and you could have people taking those vehicles home, you
Yeah.
can keep track of them and you can make sure that you don't have vehicles that are racking up the miles well beyond what they should before they have a service. So that's one of the big features. I think another thing that is really crucial to catch issues early and make sure that your fleet is safe is inspections. So we offer digital inspections. We have a mobile app which allows people in the field to complete vehicle inspections. And as those items are completed, if you do have a fleet manager or if you're just the owner of a smaller business that's keeping track of your fleet, you're able to see those issues in real time. And you can actually set up automations that will flag if it's a particular issue. So if it was a flat tire or something like that, you can have it flagged so it straight away it spins a workflow up and it will let you notify you that that vehicle is out of commission for that morning or something needs to be done. So that's another big thing, is those inspections, which really gives you that real-time visibility into your fleet. And one of the other big things that we have is we have analytics. So you can actually dig in and start to understand where you're incurring costs. You can compare vendors against each other. If you are a multi-location fleet, we have a lot of companies that use Fleetio to be able to have consistent processes across their different yards. So if they've got shops where they're doing repairs, they're able to look and understand how efficient those shops are running, how quickly they're turning around repairs and getting vehicles back on the road.
And do your clients use that information real time or after the fact analyzing?
So you can analyze in real time. So we're cloud-based software, and so everything's coming in and you can see it. So a lot of our customers have dashboards set up where they're watching certain metrics and making sure that they're staying on top of things, or they're just looking at what vehicles have issues currently so that they have those popping up in front of them so that they have that finger on the pulse for what's happening in their fleet.
Is there a minimum fleet size that somebody should think about using your service? And what are the other services out there that are similar to yours?
So I'll answer the first piece first. I would say that there isn't a minimum fleet size. I think, as we kind of discussed, there's a lot that goes into it, even if you only have a couple of vehicles. So keeping track of that and just understanding what your costs are, it's going to set you up to scale, because you know if you want to add another vehicle, you already understand what the costs are, and you have a process that's ready to go. So for anyone who's looking to grow their business, I would say start
That was a good
tracking.
answer, by the way. Is there no fixed cost where it's like, God, it doesn't make sense until you get X number of trucks?
No, we price per asset. So
Yeah.
Fleetio prices per asset, and we did that because fleet maintenance and fleet safety, it's like a team wide exercise, and so we didn't want to restrict the amount of users. So we price per asset, and we know that there's different drivers in different vehicles at different times. Obviously, in landscaping, there's a lot of turnover, and retention can be really difficult as well. So you can just have that fluctuating workforce. So I think really starting early is the way to go, and getting that kind of view of what those costs are, so that you, as you grow, you have this understanding of what it's going to look like that allows you to plan out into the future.
Yeah. So what are some of the like what are some of the other companies out there that you respect that do something similar?
I think broadly, let's call it a tech stack, so the pieces that you want to have in play. I think, talking generally, I would say fuel cards and telematics are two tools that I would really recommend anyone with a fleet looks into and starts to set up. We have a lot of fleets will come to us and have an initial conversation around, what should I do to set up, and how can I start to manage my fleet?
Yeah.
And telematics is a big one. Nowadays, we're seeing more connected vehicles. So the OEMs are kind of shipping vehicles where you can access a lot of that because they're connected to the internet. So you can pull sensor data, you can pull that odometer, which is really important. And so for anyone looking to start, it's having that conversation and working out, how can I start to capture all the different data points in my fleet? So telematics is a great way of doing that, because you're pulling data directly from the vehicle, and you can do that in near real time. And then fuel cards are another great thing to look into, because that gives you a whole lot of control. Like, you don't only get that visibility, you get control, and you can identify things from theft just through to, we should be filling up at these times, or at these service stations, we should really be focusing there. And I think I just slipped to an Australianism, but gas station. You can kind of dictate to your employees, let's go to these gas stations because we're going to be able to reduce costs there.
I want to look into your guys' service. Are you able to come out and actually give me broader advice? Like, you were talking about truck types and sizes. Um, are your reps, do they come out on site, and are you able to do broader analysis on, you said tech stack. How about a equipment stack, in terms of what we're using and how we're using it?
Yeah, we typically, when people come to us, one of the most important things is that data is your data. And I've spoken to a lot of fleets and companies, and they've gotten themselves into contracts, whether that be with fuel cards or especially with telematics, which may not give them access to all the data points so that they can take it to different places. And one of the things that Fleetio does is it pulls in data from everywhere. And we really believe that your data is your data, and you should be able to move it where you want so that you can get that complete picture. And so one of the things that I always say to fleets is, whenever you're looking at telematics, fuel, or fleet management software, it's really important to understand what can I do with my data and how easy is it for me to get data in and out of this product. We use an open API, so you can connect to any other software solution that has an API with those open points. And so you can push and pull your data in and out. And what that allows our customers to do is I would say we are solution agnostic with telematics and fuel cards. We will tell customers where you're going to have restrictions, where you may not be able to pull all the data points out that you'd want from a vehicle to be as an example. But the main thing for us is we are all about getting as much data into one place so that you can really make those informed decisions. So when it comes to having those conversations, it depends on the fleet. Every fleet, even landscaping, there's a huge difference in the type of assets that you have. So if you've got even John Deere equipment, or there's different OEMs have different ways of pulling data out. So we have conversations with fleets, and we can help them depending on the makeup and the type of assets they have. Really have that conversation around, okay, this type of telematics device would be beneficial for you because you're going to be able to pull more data in and then be able to use that data to make those better decisions.
Got it. Okay. So how many different landscape sites have you been to?
I try to average at least 10 on-sites a year. So try to get out. So I think I would be 40 to 50 now.
Okay.
And actually, one of my earlier jobs when I was at college, I was working with a landscaping company for a while too.
So what are the biggest opportunities? Like if someone's listening and they could take away something right now to go back and, help them save or make money, what are the biggest issues or opportunities that you come across that you see, mistakes companies making or blind spots or where they really can make the most savings?
I think one of the biggest ones you mentioned volatility at the start. One of the big ones is inspections, and even if they're not the inspections that the regulators are after, just knowing the condition of your assets and vehicles and having that, whether it be on a weekly or a daily basis, that is just a huge advantage for anyone who's got a company, because you're able to see things. I know you mentioned breakdowns. Breakdowns for us are more catastrophic events that ideally can be avoided, because if you've got that open communication and you have employees who are, through inspections or through being able to log issues, let you know what's happening, then you can plan. And so then you can schedule a vehicle for maintenance rather than having that emergency repair, which means that you may have to hire a vehicle to put someone in. Those costs add up. So I'd say one of the biggest things is just getting that inspections going, because it really opens up communication.
Got it. What's it? Give me a couple more.
I think another one is just getting a handle on your fuel costs and being able to see that. Landscaping's a seasonal business, but understanding that and being able to plan for it and kind of setting those norms as well, that's a huge thing. Being able to dig into that data, identifying. Another one is just looking at the assets and looking at performance. Like, what are the underlying costs with different vehicles? And that's going to help you. I mentioned it with like F-150s and Mavericks. You can start to make those decisions, and you can make them with confidence and know, okay, I'm going to make a switch here, but I know long term this is going to be something which is going to provide me more stability and more revenue.
Gotcha. Any other big opportunities you've seen?
I think one of the features that we've just released is smart uploads, and it uses AI to where you can upload your maintenance invoices and you can just upload them in bulk, and then it pulls them in. So we have a lot of customers who come to us. they have a whole lot of invoices. They haven't, outside of the spreadsheet, they may not have been tracking them. They're definitely not tracking the line items
Yeah.
on those invoices. And so when they come to us and are able to just dump a ton of data in, straight away you get this historical view of your organization. So that would be another thing. I know you said, what would I recommend for people who are just starting out or just looking at it? I think, again, starting now is a great step forward. Even if it's one of those things that you've been putting off, there are just ways that you can get a whole lot of visibility. And if you have those invoices from the past, you're able to pull them in and really get a good understanding of how much your fleet's costing you, and that's going to allow you to start to plan for the future, and also just understand what is this going to look like as I grow my business.
I'm kind of a fitness nerd, not nerd, but um, I'm a fitness journeyman. I may not be a master, but we'll call me a journeyman. And I use this device called Whoop, and it's on my. It's like a Fitbit, but no watch, and it's a lot more data analytics. And when you're in the app, you can ask it questions, and it does all this analysis. I've actually uploaded my blood work to it, and uh, you can really go down a rabbit hole with it. But it's very interactive. And so, is Fleetio at that stage where you can have conversations with it? Is there an AI integration where it allows you to really dive in and find the opportunities?
So we don't have that overlay where you can have that conversation per se with the data, but one of the things we do have is using that sensor data. It's called sensor snapshots. You can, similar to what you were talking about, where you can kind of look at, I guess, the analytics of yourself and your fitness. You can do the same thing in Fleetio. So you're able to, if you have a vehicle out in the field and a driver may have indicated that they think there's an issue with the battery, you can go in and look, and you can see the historical data. So you can look at that battery and identify that maybe when the vehicle's running, there's no charge going to the battery. So it's going to be an issue with the alternator, for example. Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of mechanics using that to diagnose vehicles before they even get to the shop, so that they're able to get ahead of parts and just reduce the overall downtime that vehicle needs to be in the shop.
I would think AI could do that for you automatically. Are you guys going to be integrating that?
Yeah, we are looking at that. Our approach to AI is, right now we are integrating it across our product. And one of the areas that we're focused on first is that garbage in, garbage out. I know that everyone listening has tried ChatGPT or whatever the product may be, and you can ask it a whole lot of questions. And if it's not pulling on good data, then you're not going to get good outcomes from that. And so we're really focused on making sure, and when we've had conversations with customers, what they're looking for in a product is a product that can really build strong quality of the data as a whole, so that they can trust the responses that they're getting. They really need to trust it, because they're making real world decisions that are impacting that bottom line. And so what we're focused on, similar to with smart uploads, is making sure that you're pulling in as much of that maintenance and line item detail, so you understand labor, you understand part costs. What we're seeing with that is customers are starting to make decisions on what vendors they're using to complete maintenance. So if they're outsourcing their maintenance, they're able to really quickly look through and see who may be overcharging them for certain items. As far as intelligence, one of the features that we have is just being able to reject certain line items. So whenever a vendor sends a repair order through for approval, you can set it up so that it's just rejecting those things where it may be wiper blades, for example, and they're adding all these little things into upsell. So we're starting to integrate automation there as well.
Yeah. Wow, it's exciting. Does Does Fleetio, you said it has good AP, or it has open API. That means it can integrate with other softwares with open API. What landscape industry softwares are you currently integrated into, or do you see your clients using you and integrating with?
Yeah, I think one of the big ones that I see is Aspire. So a lot of people are using that and using our open API to connect endpoints there. QuickBooks is another one that we have a native integration with. So just being able to integrate with QuickBooks, and again, it's just being able to have that complete picture
Yeah.
of costs in your fleet.
So do we job cost in QuickBooks or in Fleetio if we wanted, or truck cost? If we want a total cost of the truck.
So total cost of the truck, that's Fleetio because we're able to pull in all those individual data points, and you can create custom fields and log costs for anything. And it could be that your first aid kit on the truck, those types of things. You can keep track of all of that in
Mm,
Fleetio, and we tie it to that asset. and
gotcha.
and then we also have the ability, we have a jobs product that allows you to also keep track of job costs as well, so you're able to see when a vehicle's on a job and get an understanding of what are the costs of that job as well.
What do you mean exactly with that?
So if you think of a job like a site, so we have a lot of people in construction, but it's also, I think, just as applicable to landscaping. You can understand how which assets are assigned to that job. So if they're going back on a recurring basis, you can get an overview of how much time an asset is allocated to a job for, and then what the costs with that are.
I guess that would make most sense if you were stick estimating your equipment into the job estimate.
Yeah, it's again, it's just having that better understanding of when you are assigning an asset or a crew, you know what those underlying costs are that may have previously you think of it just as the cost of doing business as a
Yeah.
whole, but when you understand what that cost per mile is for your vehicle, and you can break it out and understand maintenance cost per mile, it helps you if you've got teams that need to travel a long way. You get a better understanding of what does it cost to even deliver someone to the job to get it done.
So I understand putting trucks and large equipment on Fleetio. What's do people also put small handheld equipment on it?
Yes, it
And
this
but
this
and isn't that expensive to do that? Like, help me understand that.
Yeah, so this is one of the ones that is a problem that I experience, which is tools go missing on sites, and it's not always nefarious. It's not always theft. It's it's also people hoard items that they want, and so you can have situations where even something as simple as a impact drill, someone has their favorite impact drill, they want to hide it away, you lose visibility of that tool, and it's sitting in the back of a truck somewhere, and you just don't know where it is, so you end up with another impact drill because no one knows where it is, and it's just floating around your business. So keeping track of tools is something you can do in Fleetio. It is priced completely differently, so it's still per item, but it's a much lower amount. And what that allows you to do is people can check tools in and out. You can also track service on them. So if you had smaller mowers that you wanted in the system,
So how does it physically work? What are you putting onto the tool to track it?
yeah, you're putting a QR code, and then people check it in and check it out. And because we use a mobile app, you can see their location when they're checking it in and out. And the other thing that you can do
So
is,
it doesn't track, it's not a GPS tracker.
no, it's not a GPS tracker on that item,
Yeah.
but what you can do is you can assign tools to a vehicle so that you get this complete picture of what is attached to that, what is on that vehicle. And so you
Yeah.
know that everything that should be included in that vehicle, so that when someone's assigned that vehicle, there's just an open understanding of this is the equipment that comes with this vehicle. And then you can also run basically a shop where people check items in and out, and you know who has that. Those items are, those tools are then assigned to an individual.
Got it. But you'd have to swipe all the QR codes to I mean, it could be a little bit labor intensive, it sounds like.
Setting up is you can print them out, and then it's just a matter of scanning them, and you can put them in the app. So it is, as you attach it, you just assigning a QR code to that tool in the app. But you can do that. You don't need to be at a computer to do that. You can do that out in the field.
And so if somebody swipes my impact drill and it goes from one truck to the other, how does Fleetio help you catch that?
So if the individual tool itself,
Yeah.
and that, with that, if people are playing outside of the system, you don't get that visibility. But that's where, by attaching tools to a vehicle and assigning someone to a vehicle, there's clear responsibility.
Yeah.
That this vehicle comes with this equipment and this person is responsible for it. So if someone else wants to take that item from the truck, they're going to have a conversation and make sure that it's tracked in the app, because the person who's assigned the vehicle knows, I need to keep track of that impact drill, because it's not just the company impact drill that's floating around everywhere. I'm responsible for it.
Gotcha. Yeah. I have a client where they do not have assigned trucks. Now they have a tight culture. It's a big company and they have a tight culture. So it's sort of working, the accountability, but how many companies do you work with where there's chaos like that, and there's, vehicles are not assigned, equipment's not assigned?
Yeah, there's a lot of companies like that, whereas you jump in the first vehicle that's available. And I know, especially in landscaping, because crews and the stuff can change, and that can happen quickly. So it's not like someone's assigned a vehicle and they have it for a year. That's where, with Fleetio, when they do the inspection in the morning, the person doing the inspection, you'll check that truck in, and you're assigned to the vehicle for the day. So there are people who will take a vehicle home, but you can assign it to a specific person. But also, if someone else does that inspection on the vehicle, you can have it set up so that they're the person assigned to that vehicle.
Gotcha. What's the ROI on Fleetio? Like, what do you tell prospects? Here's the typical return our clients see.
Yeah, so the majority of our customers see a 10,000 plus return per year. So they'll see that, and they see that in various ways. It's as I mentioned, it is a process where a lot of people at the start are just starting to track those costs, and get preventative maintenance happening at their business. So we ProQual Landscaping, they're based in Tempe, Arizona. When they joined Fleetio, they started to use our preventative maintenance programs on their vehicles, and they were able to see a 33% reduction in their maintenance costs. So that was something that they saw just by setting up preventative maintenance and being able to have that consistently applied across their vehicles. And another example I can think of is Cherry Lake. They're a landscaping company in Florida, and they have over 300 assets. And one of the big things that they came to us with, they'd had some real pain with breakdowns and just getting hit with those big expenses, and then all the flow-on costs associated with that. And when they joined Fleetio, they saw that they reduced their breakdowns by 23%.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Anything that I didn't ask you, but you do want to talk about?
I think the main thing for me is that I'd love to talk about is just taking your business, and particularly your fleet, from that kind of gut feel to using the data that you have at hand. And I would just say to people, you have so much data at your fingertips with your fleet, and using that to really make confident decisions. And by getting things in hand and starting to track and understand what the cost of your fleet is, you're going to just have a clearer understanding of what the future looks like, what it's going to take to scale, and you're going to be able to make decisions that aren't that gut feel anymore that you kind of learn in 2 years' time whether it was a good decision or not, but you're going to be able to make things and just sleep better at night, basically. And really understand as margins get tighter, which I know they are for so many landscaping companies, you're going to know that and just have more confidence in what the underlying costs that you're planning against are.
Excellent. Well, listen, this has been insightful, and I'm just wondering, any good YouTube videos somebody could go look at to get like a sort of a good understanding on what you do and what your product does, I mean?
Yeah, I would say to people, go to fleetio.com. You can actually jump in and we offer a free, no credit card required demo of the product. You can also speak with one of our sales reps as well, and they'll be happy to walk you through. But jump in and just experience the product. We have a lot of people, the ease of use of our software and just how clearly we break things out and easy it is for people to use is one of our biggest selling points. And I think compared to competitors out there, we hear a lot of people say that's one of the things they just fell in love with, how easy it was to use. So I would say,
Yeah.
jump onto the site. There's a ton of great educational resources as well. If you're just looking to explore how can I better manage my fleet, we have that as well. So I would say jump on the site and just experience the product.
Was there a competitor called, I'm trying to think of their name, Medoko or something like that? Medco?
I'm not
Based in
familiar. I'm not familiar with that name. No.
based up in Canada? No. Who? Give me a name. Give us a couple names of other companies that do this similar that what you guys do.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of legacy solutions. So people like AssetWorks that have more been based on premise. So they come and install the software on premise. We've been around for coming on 13 years now. So we were one of the first cloud-based, bringing everything into the cloud. So you just have a lot more control over your data. So there's definitely different solutions out there, but I would encourage people start having the conversations. That's the important thing, and really get an understanding of what is required to better manage your fleet and what are the different steps. I would just encourage people to go to fleetio.com, start having the conversation, and really looking at ways that they can reduce costs.
You guys have great SEO. I plugged you into Google, and yours is the only thing that shows up for a couple pages. So whoever's doing your web management or SEO is doing a great job.
Yeah, I'll let them know. They'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah, I was trying to think about what that other company was called. I'm sure somebody will email me afterwards and tell me what it was, or what mistake I've made on what that software actually did. Hey, I appreciate your time and your world travels. And what's one thing that you see Fleetio working on for the future that you haven't rolled out yet, that for those of us who are using Fleetio, we can look forward to?
I think the thing we're most excited about is AI and automation, and just the way that it's transforming a lot of things for just everyday humans day to day. But we're already seeing, just with the quality of the data you can capture, and then what you're going to be able to do with it, and just the insights you're going to be able to pull with it. That's something that we are very bullish on and investing in across our product teams.
Yeah, I see such a perfect fit. Of course, that's maybe true for many things, but having an AI agent that would just help you help the mechanics really get on top of what's going on. But seems like a slam dunk, no brainer there.
Yes, it is. It is. There's a lot of different processes that are just repetitive things that aren't enjoyable things to do that I think that technology can step in and help people really focus time on those more strategic things that are going to add dollars to the bottom line.
Same with the fuel cards and with GPS, right? All those things could use an AI agent that would really help you manage that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Daniel, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, Jeffrey. Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed the conversation.